first class too, but I will do it for both. You need to select two attributes that are numerical. Okay? Two attributes that are numerical or quantitative, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to do a scatter plot at the end. Okay? So both of them have to be numerical. I know you're really interested in what season was everybody's favorite, fall, winter, but you can't really do a scatter plot if you don't have numerical data. So you must pick two attributes that have numerical data. Okay? When you are creating that hypothesis, you are making a comparison between the two things. You need to say something like, the more, what do I want to say? Text messages people send, okay, the taller they are. It does not have to make sense. Okay? But you have to talk about the more that you send, the shorter they are, or the higher, the taller a person is, the shorter their left foot. Okay? You have to say to what degree is one of the attributes compared to what degree of the other attribute. All right? The longer the arm span, the shorter the person. The shorter the reaction time, the longer their left index finger. Again, it doesn't have to make sense. You are just creating a hypothesis. Does everybody understand that? That is critical for you to understand that piece. Okay? All right. Histograms. Because you have selected two different attributes, you are going to have two histograms. And I see I did this on the wrong page. Two histograms. So let me move over to the correct page. Okay? Two histograms. If you're talking about reaction time is going to be one of the histograms. And if you're talking about height is the other histogram. I know how to spell height. I promise you. Okay? But those are going to be your histograms. Now, another important part, because so far our histograms have all been little dots of data. And we know histograms are made with bars, right? So once you have selected your attribute and you've pulled that down under, then you need to go over on, you know how on the right hand side there's like a ruler, and then right here, whatever this says configuration. You need to click on configuration. You're going to put them into bins, and then it says fuse into bars. Okay? So this is an important part for changing your individual points into bars. You go to configuration, which is right below the ruler, put them into bins, and those bins give you a range sort of for each of your bars, and they will fuse those points into bars, and that will make a histogram. So you do that for both of your attributes, okay? So you will have two histograms here. Shape analyzed, okay? I am talking, are they skewed or are they symmetrical? So you have to talk about that. So besides having histograms here, you're probably going to have text boxes also. And you might have a text box for each histogram. center is marked. That center could be the mean. It could be the median. It also could be the mode. If you remember, and I would probably include them all. Mode does not come up automatically with anything that CODAP has. So you probably are going to have to find it and add it into a text box. All right? Is everybody with me so far? Sean, you're not doing yourself a favor. So mean, median, mode. The center is marked. If you do show labels, it's going to show you the mean. It's going to show you the median. It's not going to show you the mode. So you have to find the mode, and you're probably going to have to add that into a text box. Okay? The spread is marked. What is the spread? Now, I didn't use that term very often. That is your standard deviation, your SD. So your standard deviation, you have to have that marked in that histogram. And you want to show the label for that because then it will show it. Spread is marked. Spread range stated. So the range, if you remember, is your maximum minus your minimum. And if you are going to state that, you're probably going to have to state that in the text box. All right? So I know this seems like a lot. Once you start doing it, it really goes pretty quickly. Okay? I promise. So far, you are going to, and you are going to do this on either Google Slides, or you can do it on a poster. You could probably use PowerPoint. If it's some other type of venue, you probably might want to run it by me. So you're going to have 2 histograms, probably on the same page if you do it like Google Slides. Then you're going to have also 2 box plots. So these are 2 more graphs, one for each attribute. Box plots are on there, okay? 5 points clearly marked and labeled. You cannot really label these, okay? I think when you do a box plot on CODAP, the only one it talks about is the median. So that means you are going to have to list. You're going to have to list in another text box, what is your minimum? What is your quartile 1? What is your median? Well, the median will be there, but if you're going to put 4 of the 5, you might as well put all 5. What is your quartile 3? What is your maximum? Okay? So you either have to label them. I think the median is the only one that's labeled. You're going to have to list all the other things. Outliers tested for. Outliers, yes, they are shown with little plus signs, but you have to show me the math. And that you are going to do, it is back in your book on page, I'll find the page. Did I write it up here? I have a little cheat sheet that had the page on it. So that's where you find the interquartile range. And once you find the interquartile range, you take the quartile 1 minus that and plus that. So that is page 78. Page 78. So you will have 2 histograms. You will have 2 box plots. Each of those graphs is worth 5 points. Okay? Then measure of center. We already talked about that a little bit. Measures of center are mean, median, or mode. But which one is better for your histograms? In other words, if the data is skewed, remember the mean is going to be pulled because you have some other data that is pulling it in that direction. So the mean is not going to be the best measure of center if you have skewed data. okay? If you have skewed data, you want to use the median. Or if you have a mode that just happens a ton, then you might want to use the mode. So you have to look at your data to see which one you're going to use. Okay? Now, I am assuming that most of you are going to use data from my classes, which is this class and the other prime class. And I think there are 53 entries. Okay? The tiny URL for that, which I do have on Canvas, is tinyurl.com/Thede with a capital T, and I'll write this when I'm all done, prime with all caps in 2024.
Capital H Thede?
Not capital H for Thede, just capital T.
I mean capital T.
Capital T in Thede, prime all caps, and 2024. If you are doing a single population, like just my classes, then you will only do the second one of number 6. And you will show me a scatter plot. So the scatter plot has each of the data, one on the x-axis and one on the y-axis. You are going to put in your line of best fit, which is that line of least regression, I think it is, on CODAP.
What if we were doing all of the ones from your class
A different population?
and her class? Would that be
Do you have her data?
Do we?
I suppose I could get it.
What's this URL that you just gave?
This is my classes.
Just your class
Mhm.
themselves. And you
Mhm.
only have 2 prime
Mhm.
classes.
And she has one prime that's smaller than either one of mine. R value, we know that is R squared on CODAP. So what does that mean? If you have a R squared value that's close to 1, what does that mean? If you have an R squared value that is close to 0, what does that mean? Okay. And then finding a conclusion. Is your hypothesis true? From all the data that you have, can you say that your hypothesis is true? Is there any bias? Okay. Was there volunteer bias or sample bias or anything like the different kind of biases we talked about? Is there a correlation? Does the one increase as the other increases? That would be positive. Does the one decrease as the other decreases? That would be positive. Does one increase as one decreases? That would be a negative correlation. Or is it all just very random? That's no correlation. Causation. Does one cause the other to happen? And then finally, your presentation, is all the information there? Did you include everything? That's 5 points. So we have today, I would really, really like for you to try to figure out a hypothesis between 2 different types of attributes that are numerical. All right? And once you have that, you can just start going. Tomorrow, we are not meeting together. You're going to be home, but you really should check in and ask me if you have any questions. Okay? But I do have to take attendance based on whether you check in. All right? Wednesday and Thursday, we'll just be working on the project. You need to be asking questions. I am leaving for Louisville on Thursday. I will not be here on Friday. That is a personal day. My chorus we're in a contest down in Louisville. So you can still work on it, but any questions you have, you better have asked before I leave on Thursday. Okay? I will be here after school tonight. I will also be here after school on Wednesday just for a half hour because I'm leaving Thursday. Thursday is usually when I'm here. Okay? So, do you have any questions right now? I know you're like, I have no idea. Yes.
I have plenty.
Okay. Are they general questions or questions just for your topic?
How do you word a hypothesis again?
How do you word it? You want to say something like, you want to talk about one of the attributes as being either shorter or taller or longer or something to that extent.
Can you give me an example?
Right. So if I said, the taller a person is, the shorter their left foot.
I was gonna correlate the age with the class.
I would not do age just because almost everybody's age is 17. So there's not a lot to say about that. Huh?
There's a junior in here.
That's true, but that's only one person.
Then what do I do?
You pick another quantitative.
I don't want to do something stupid like a foot.
There's reaction time. People did that reaction time. There was a memory test time. There was lengths of index fingers, ring fingers, feet, arm span, height. There was number of text messages sent or received. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff. You've got to look at the data and see what you want to do.
I'm gonna do arm span and reaction time.
Okay. So you'd say something like, the shorter the reaction time, the longer their arm span is going to be. Or, something like that. Yes.
Is this one good? The longer the arm span, the taller the person.
Yep, you can do that.
And when you say Google Doc or slides, do you want us to show proof of the graph on Kodak, like a screenshot, and can you insert
Oh, yeah, you'll have to insert that code app in on your slides.
the link or a picture?
The picture.
Okay.
Question.
Yeah.
So is a hypothesis is a statement, not a question.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Other questions? Is there an example of the whole thing? No. There is not.
So this is like a
The rubric is, that's there. That's telling you everything you need. And if you have questions, you need to try to be asking questions along the way. Now, let me put the tiny URL up here. I also have the tiny URL linked on today's page, and I will put it on every other page too. But the data for the prime classes is tinyurl.com/C with a capital T, prime, and then 2024. If you want to do and compare information from two different classes, let me show you how to do that.